Hello IOD community and welcome to another DIY tutorial. Today we're going to be walking you through how to make this gorgeous wall art using our Bows and Felicite mold. You'll be able to hang this on a wall as part of a gallery wall and it will look absolutely adorable. So we're going to start by mixing our resin. We're using a quickset resin today, and of course all of the details for anything we're using today can be found in the description below. We're going to mix this 1-to-1, but make sure you follow any instructions on your particular resin as they may differ. We like to use a weighted scale to choose how much resin to use. You can look on your mold and see the exact amounts you need for each casting there if you want to be a perfectionist. This can be really handy, especially if you're doing something larger. In this case, we're just mixing up a bunch because we want to make several florals. We want to make the long bow in the Felicite mold. And we're going to start actually by making this small connected bow with ribbons in our Bows mold. You can see that on the screen. Go ahead and fill that up to the micro rim edge. You don't want it spilling over. Of course, you can always clip it up later if you need to, but we like to get it just to the edge, not overflowing, so we don't have much cleanup. You can see here we're going to pour just a bunch of those flowers. And if you have extra resin, always have another mold handy so you can fill up a little extra details. We like the Harper mold for small letters if you have just a little bit left and you don't want to be wasteful. Going to set those aside to set. With the quick set, it is going to turn white and it will be fully opaque when it's ready to come out. So we'll turn those over and pop them out. You can tell as you start to take them out if they're need a little bit more time, and then you can just leave them a little bit longer. So look at how gorgeous these little scrumply roses are. We're going to be putting them along this bow to build our base. We are going to grab that long bow and we're going to cut off one end so it's nice and flat because we are going to put that up against the bow and it's not going to connect very cleanly if the flowers are there. So you're just going to want to clip off only one end, leaving the other nice and floral, and this is going to cut pretty easily because this is still a bit pliable from taking it out of the casting. And you can see that comes off pretty easily with scissors and that this is still a little pliable, so we took it out with just a little bit of flexibility. So we set that edge, that clean edge, up against the bow so we'll be able to attach it there. And you can see we have a reference image here of some classic wall decor that we are working off of. So you'll see that we set that bow down and put that flat trimmed edge up against the top of the bow, and we took all of these smaller roses and arranged them until we liked the composition. You can use our reference image or choose one of your own. Just make sure you play around with those until you like what you see. So now how we're going to glue these details on is we are actually using a UV resin glue. Now you want to follow the instructions for your particular glue, but it probably is handy to wear gloves. We did not in this video, but you always want to be safe and definitely don't get that on your hands. So you'll put a little bit of glue and then you will seal down that glue with the UV light. Now we did find in some areas that we needed a little bit more glue, so you can actually layer the UV glue. So if you need a little bit more, just get that tip in there and add a little bit more. And then to connect it, we're going to use that same UV glue. And then we'll just set that base up against the bow, making sure to hold that nice and tight. And of course, you can get this at a craft store. Do check with your local stockist first. And we got ours on Amazon, so you can definitely find that in the description below. And so we did try some Gorilla Glue for some of the sections, but as we said, you can just layer that UV glue and that actually works much better. We couldn't screw the eyelet in just because the bow is thin, so we just used a bit more of that UV glue, holding it in place and then using the UV light to create that wall hang. Alternatively, you could put this up on 2 nails just hanging under the bows, but if you're like us, sometimes it's hard to get it straight, so putting it in the center will help you just avoid having to worry about leveling it later. So you can see that we're going back in with a little bit more UV glue to make sure that that wall hanging is super secure, since this is going to be holding your project up. Having a few different coats and hitting it with that UV light again is going to just make sure that it's secured, because no one likes it when their wall hangings fall off. We're going to be going in with some gold leaf paint for that nice metallic look. The one nice thing about using this UV resin glue, which we were actually quite surprised with and really enjoyed, is that you can go to painting immediately because it's already cured. So we're just going to go in with a small detail brush and just paint all around, making sure to get in those cracks and crevices. We like to put something under our surface, of course, because this can be a little bit messy and we want to make sure we don't have too much cleanup later. You see we have this sheet that we can either wipe up with a rag or take over to the sink to wash up, and the gold leaf paint can be a little tricky to get off of things, so we definitely didn't want it on our surface. And then you can wait for it to dry a little bit and then flip over and do the back side just to make this nice and clean, and this will be the finishing touch for our project. You could definitely do a larger piece of wall art using one of the larger bows, and you can build up the flowers even more to create a larger piece here. So this is going to look delightful in your wall gallery. We would love to hear how else you might use this piece in the comments. We sure enjoyed hanging out with you today. We hope you'll give this channel a like and a subscribe, and we can't wait to see you in the next one.